Greetings and welcome to Holochain Citizen. In this video, I'm going to give an overview of 37 projects that are building on Holochain. So here's a list of all the projects I'll be covering. There are quite a few of them, so I will not be doing any deep analysis or critique in this video. Aside from the Holo hosting app, this does not include any of the internal apps being developed by Holo, like HoloChat, DeepKey, Personas, etc. I'll put timestamps for each one and links for further research in the video description. So first I'll start with Holo, just to make a clear distinction between Holochain, the framework, and Holo, the hosting platform built on Holochain. So Holo will be a bridge from Holochain applications to the regular web, making it easy for people to access apps just like a regular website. Producers Market. Producers Market is aiming to create a more direct link between agricultural producers and consumers. In addition to giving producers a bigger share of their profits and even reducing costs for consumers, the idea is also to improve the richness of information that consumers get about their food and how it's produced, and to help producers market themselves and share their story directly with consumers. Buildsort. Buildsort is aiming to create more transparency in the construction supply chain and to streamline planning and building processes. They say their tools will reduce costs and delays, help manage risk, and help address corruption in the industry. Morpheus Network. Morpheus Network is an automated global supply chain platform. It integrates a variety of different technologies, including Holochain, Stellar, and Chainlink, to name a few. It's designed to be platform agnostic, so companies can connect in a supply chain without having to integrate the same blockchain systems. Morpheus also supports a variety of legacy systems like FedEx tracking, Swift payments, and Microsoft Dynamics resource planning. Holosupply. Holosupply is another supply chain system built on Holochain. There is very little available information about this project, so I'm guessing it's still in very early development. The only information I have comes from these short bullet points from their website. I'll let you pause the video and read them yourself if you want to. Hypergroove. Hypergroove is a platform for community-supported agriculture with a focus on urban areas. It will involve a supply chain system with peer-to-peer direct trading. Participants can develop relationships with each other using social media tools with reputation and trust systems built in. Their goal is to democratize, decarbonize, and decentralize food systems, with the hope to empower active land stewardship, environmental sustainability, conscious consumerism, and to foster climate-adaptive resilience. Redgrid. Redgrid is aiming to connect devices that produce and store energy, like solar panels and battery systems, with devices that use energy, like home appliances, into an intelligent network that can communicate and coordinate more effectively. This year in Australia, extreme heat waves triggered blackouts from the spike in demand for energy for air conditioning. Redgrid's intelligent energy grid will respond more effectively to changes in energy availability and energy demand to prevent these kinds of problems. Redgrid's two main motivations are to help support the need for affordable renewable energy in the context of an ongoing climate crisis, and to improve energy access for the 1.2 billion people who still don't have reliable access to electricity. Metavents. Metavents is an application for planning concerts and festivals. Event organizers can use it to choose a venue, design the layout of the event site, and run risk and logistics simulations. It also gives them the ability to measure the economic and social impact of their events. Metavents will donate ticket booking and processing fees to humanitarian projects, using Holochain to ensure that this process is fully transparent. These same event planning tools can also be used for disaster response and refugee camps. Like festivals, relief efforts need to organize food, water, shelter, security, medical, and waste management systems to remote locations. Hylo. Hylo is a platform for people with common interests and goals to organize into communities. It has tools for messaging, planning events, collaborating on group projects, and sharing resources. It also helps groups with similar goals to find and connect with each other. On their website, they have testimonials from Harvard's Planetary Health Alliance and from MIT's D-Lab, among others. Bridgit and Crowdfact. Bridgit is a browser extension that goes over top of regular websites. It adds a layer of knowledge sharing and trust building. Users build crowdsourced bridges between content to create networks of ideas. They can earn currency based on the value these contributions bring to the network. Bridgit is collaborating with another project called Crowdfact, an initiative aimed at fighting fake news and misinformation online. Scribe. The Scribe project aims to build a conceptionary, which is like a dictionary, but for concepts. The purpose is to help facilitate ontology design. I'm not sure how well I can explain it, so I'll just leave up this graphic for a few seconds, and you can pause and read it over if you'd like to. And I'll also put some links below to learn more. The underscore protocol. The underscore protocol is a way for people to share ideas with each other. It is inspired by Git, which is a version control system for tracking changes in code for software development. But the underscore protocol is about ideas and content creation rather than software design. It allows collaborators to work together on idea contexts and to develop branches of multiple perspectives within those contexts. It also supports arranging and nesting different but related contexts into more complex idea structures. Set-match games. Set-match games is a platform for collaborative video game design. It will use curation markets and other forms of decentralized decision-making to allow communities of gamers to design together and to share profits and art assets. Hololution. Hololution is a project of Nick Redmark, a software engineer and YouTuber with a channel focused on personal development. His vision is to create personal productivity apps that will then transform into collective collaboration apps. Omni. The Omni project is for academics and scholars to share scientific databases, collaborate on publishing papers, and even share computational resources for processing research data. It aims to address several problems with the current state of academic publishing. 1. Knowledge is often inaccessible behind expensive paywalls. 2. Results that support a hypothesis are far more likely to be published than results that refute a hypothesis, leading to bias in the scientific literature. There are mountains of valuable findings that never get published, including datasets, codebases, replication studies, and even mistakes that would be worth learning from. 3. Reputation is based on impact factor, which comes from the number of times a paper is cited in other papers. This fails to make visible many other kinds of contributions that people can make to the knowledge commons. Humm. Humm is a peer-to-peer publishing platform, an alternative to sites like WordPress and Medium. They're aiming to foster a new kind of economy around content creation. Creators will be able to get paid for their work through subscriptions or donations. Humm is also designing reputation systems to represent trustworthiness, verifiability of sources, transparency, and resilience to manipulation. As I understand it, part of the idea is to help fight fake news and create conditions that support higher quality journalism. Comet. Comet is an alternative to Reddit that gets rid of authoritative moderation and uses a tagging system instead of having subreddits. Upvotes and downvotes also work differently. In Comet, votes are not counted as objective truth. Instead, they are weighted subjectively for each user, depending on how they rate other users. I wrote an article about Comet on holocaincitizen.com. I'll put a link in the description. Junto. Junto, or as some people say, Junto, is an alternative social media platform. It's designed as a response to some of the problems with dominant platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. These platforms are generally designed to be as addictive as possible, to maximize profit from users' attention. They are essentially advertisement platforms. In contrast, Junto is not for profit and won't have any ads. The underlying intention is to support authentic expression and to give users ownership and control of their own data and their own experience, with no AI algorithms deciding what they see. Core.Network. There were a few projects that I reviewed that I had a bit of a hard time summarizing, and this was one of them. So I'm just going to go over what they wrote about what they're doing. So they're saying that they're trying to unify social network silos into a single visual dashboard. They talk about owning your data, of course. They also speak of creating and curating content which you can share privately or publicly, for free or for cryptocurrency. They talk about developing learning experiences, so making course content that you can teach to other people, create community currencies, track impact, create communities, and reach your people unfettered by paywalls. And they're developing for VR and AR as well. Coolcats. Coolcats is a Holochain version of Twitter. It's based on an early prototype called Clutter. Clutter was written in JavaScript for the old Golang version of Holochain as a kind of proof of concept, and Coolcats is a rewrite into the Rust language for the new version of Holochain. Haven. Haven is a tool for planning trips and adventures that's focused on fostering real-life, in-person social relationships through travel. It's very much under the radar at the moment. The only reason I know about it is because of this job posting I found on Upwork.com. So it's very much in early phases of development. Holohouse. Holohouse is an application for building and managing co-living intentional communities. It will have tools for deciding on roles and responsibilities, recognizing work contributions, and managing resources and costs like rent, shared cars, and energy use. Allianceblock. Allianceblock is a decentralized investment platform looking to streamline the process for both investors and entrepreneurs. Allianceblock will offer a due diligence process for each project and also make use of crowdsourced ratings on projects. The tokenized parts of Allianceblock will actually be built on blockchain, but the social network they're building for investors will be built on Holochain. Orion. Orion is a protocol for aggregating exchange liquidity. It combines order books from many exchanges onto one platform, minimizing the spread between bids and asks. A wide variety of applications can be created using this protocol, including for investment, trading bots, and payments. There has been no official announcement for what part of their project will be built on Holochain, but they've hinted in their Telegram channel that they would be making an announcement about this soon. In the meantime, I've noticed that they have a GitHub repo called Orion Holochain, so I know that something is in the works. Pacio's tender. Pacio is aiming to build what they call an open source economy called Tender, based on peer-to-peer digital currencies with zero-fee transactions and stable prices. These currencies will use dynamic supply mechanisms rather than fiat pegs to maintain stability, and will support microtransactions and unlimited scalability. Pacio will also have an application platform supporting, for example, gaming transactions, gambling and lottery, e-commerce, and remittances. Though Pacio will be building on Holochain, I have confirmed with them that they will not be using the Holo hosting service. Jala. Jala has 4 main initiatives. One is an investment platform that automates legal, financial, and bureaucratic processes to reduce the need for intermediaries in the investment process. 2 is an e-commerce app for vendors on Facebook. 3 is a remote bank teller app to help bank the unbanked in developing countries, so that not everyone has to own a smartphone to be able to access banking services. Jala says they have a partnership with the Central Bank of Laos for this project. And finally, 4th is an international development financing network for charities. Bizgees. Bizgees helps refugee entrepreneurs to access interest-free loans. Refugees tend to be excluded from mainstream business finance, and even when they can gain access, they are still considered high risk, which creates further obstacles to getting funding. Bizgees uses alternative finance, like crowdfunding and microfinance, to help refugees get the funding they need to be successful entrepreneurs. bHive. bHive calls itself the future of work. It's a sharing economy platform cooperative that's currently focused on one community, a town in Australia called Bendigo. bHive will offer a way for Bendigo locals to share access to goods and services, to save money and reduce consumption. For example, it could support equipment, land, housing, and car sharing, or even peer-to-peer loans. Joatu. Joatu stands for Jack of All Trades Universe. It's focused on supporting local community projects and skill sharing. They're focused just on the borough of Verdun in Montreal at the moment. Joatu is not currently building on Holochain, but has plans to do so in the future. Two-row flow. Two-row flow seems to be a kind of crowdsourced truth and reconciliation space for settlers and Indigenous people of Canada. After reading the website, I'm having a hard time summarizing what the application will actually be, how it's designed, or what its specific functions will be. But it sounds like it will involve a kind of structured exchange of experiences and perspectives between people, as well as creating ways for settlers to contribute to a digital commons to help repay their collective karmic debt to the First Nations people of Canada. Arcade City Realgame. Arcade City Realgame is a next-generation, massively multiplayer online role-playing game, or MMORPG. What makes it different from other MMOs is that it will integrate with real-world activities, with the intention of gamifying actual work to support the development of a real peer-to-peer sharing economy. Infinite World Game. I have to admit that I'm not quite sure what Infinite World Game is. I felt a bit confused and overwhelmed reading their website, but I'll try to summarize. It sounds like they're trying to provide tools for all of humanity to transition away from extractive, competitive, individualistic economies towards more co-creative and mutually supportive relationships. The specifics about how they plan to do this are not clear to me, though. Sacred Capital. Sacred Capital is building a reputation interchange, a way for people and organizations to take a reputation earned in one context and make that reputation visible in other contexts. For example, and just to make clear, this is just coming from my own imagination, not an actually confirmed partnership. But let's say someone has a reputation as a good editor on Omni, the academic publishing platform. They could then take that reputation and bring it to the humm publishing ecosystem to gain reputation there as well. Last year, I did an interview with the founder of Sacred Capital on holocaincitizen.com. I'll put a link to that article in the video description. HoloREA. HoloREA is an implementation of the Resources, Events, Agents accounting system. I just want to pause here and say that even though this might sound like a bit of a boring project, it might actually be one of the more important projects being built on Holochain. A pretty big chunk of the projects I mentioned today are interested in using HoloREA, including Metavents, Hylo, Buildsort, Redgrid, humm, bHive Bendigo, and Producers Market. So to summarize briefly, REA accounting is an alternative to conventional double-entry bookkeeping. Instead of using ledgers with credits and debits, it actually builds digital models of agents, like people or companies, resources, like goods or money, and events, like business transactions or contracts. Cogov. Cogov is creating new tools for collective decision-making. This includes making group agreements, resolving conflicts, and managing collective resources and assets. They're trying to make it easy for groups to try out different governance structures in a flexible way, so they can test different options to find what fits best for their community. Creafree. Creafree is an intellectual property registration service, including promotion to partners and investors, value assessments, international protections, sales, royalties, and licensing. Ulex. Ulex is an open source legal system founded by a law professor from Chapman University. It protects personal and property rights with a system adopted by mutual consent, rather than imposed by any single government. Being open source means different versions can be adapted, which can then compete with each other. So there you have it, a summary of 37 projects being built on Holochain. Thanks for watching.